and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast here with 6 more NFL and college football betting picks for your consideration this week. We have a quarter of the NFL season will be done after Monday, which is amazing. We're going to Jolly London for a early game, which us West Coasters, Brian, is not the greatest, but
I'm friggin'
if
stoked.
you're up early enough, which my dog fortunately helps me get up that early, it's kind of nice to have it on. It's annoying for like fantasy purposes if you have people going and you're trying to make some decisions, but
yeah, true.
But it'll be interesting to see. Like, I'll be setting some lineups, building some DFS stuff, and then having a game on in the background, which should be pretty fun.
Honestly, not to deviate from football too much, but this is a good warm up for us West Coasters for when the World Cup kicks off and games begin at 2 a.m. So this is like the build up to marathoners running slightly less than the actual marathon length ahead of the marathon.
Yeah, I had my TV crap out on me last week during the Titans' unfortunate Monday Night Football game. Had it replaced for this week for the past weekend that we just had, and it's glorious 65-inch Sony. It looks amazing on my wall. Having that second screen is critical, and I might need to add another one for when the World Cup comes around, because yes, there's not enough screens for anybody to watch. But before we jump into this week's picks, let's just recap really quickly, Brian. We'll focus mostly on mine because I was amazing.
Yeah. Let's
yours, we're just gonna skim over. 3 picks for you. Middle Tennessee State 26.5 against Miami. 1 on the field. Their money line was like 12 or 13-1. That game was super cake. Minnesota minus 2.5. I believe they won by 20 or 30. Also very easy.
Never in doubt.
And the Jags on the field. I got it at 7 when Herbert looked like he was going to be out. I went to like 3.5 or 4. Bounced back to 7. Little 3-0 week. Another awesome week. Very excited. Not sure if we'll get how many more we'll get of these, but I am going to relish all of the glory, as it was an amazing week. Overall, it was actually a pretty awful week, but these 3 picks absolutely smashed. So it's fun when you pick the right ones. Unfortunately for Brian, he did not pick the right ones. Michigan looked like it was confused as all hell.
Oh gosh.
Against Maryland. That game was the antithesis of what I thought we were going to see. Did not get anywhere near the over. Did not have as much points as I expected. Maryland didn't do their job. I don't know. It was really frustrating. The basketball game on the field turf did not get to the over. It got close. I think it was a total of like 63. You got within a couple points, but did not quite get there. And then obviously Ravens money line was a nice play. They ended up cashing for you. So on the season, I'm 8-4, up 4 units. Brian is 4-8, down 14 units. But Brian, it's only 4 weeks. We have a long way to go. I'm sure I'll find a way to give it all back, and I'm sure you'll figure out a way to get us back into the green. So, but with that being said, actually, I need to fix this while I do my talk. So, my first play, Service Academy unders are potentially one of my favorite bets.
I was just going to say your annual wager here.
I mean, whenever these two teams play, so just a little factoid for you. Dating back to 2006, when 2 service academies are playing, the under has gone 49-1. 4-0-9-1. The books have paid attention. The numbers have moved accordingly. The numbers, 2006 to 2010 used to be significantly higher, but I'm still taking it as they are a smash. You also get a nice bonus because basically the college football changed the rules a little bit for what the offensive linemen can do, and in terms of blocking, which when you have 2 triple option teams, outlawing that, making it a little bit harder for them to run, which is part of why they haven't had the same success against other teams that we've kind of seen in the past. Navy's obviously taken our Army and Air Force have. Our Air Force is a little more fun, but these teams have definitely taken a step back and are not quite up to the level we've seen. It's also, there's so much respect and like admiration for one another that nobody's going to try and go bonkers. They're not going to try and run it up. They're not going to, do anything that will make the other team look bad. And a lot of times that adds to basically a low scoring, keep the ball on the ground. They're going to run. This game is going to be over in an hour and a half. And we're going to be cashing tickets. This is going to be like a 13-7 game, very reminiscent of our Iowa State game.
Gross.
It may get a little close, but at the end of the day, we're going to be like, that was a smash. So I will be starting off with my Saturday play. I did want to mention that Middle Tennessee is taking on UTSA this week. It's a Friday night game, so I didn't include it. But UTSA minus the 4 is one of my favorite plays this week as well. Middle looked really good last week, but I think that was more about what Miami is or isn't, I guess. Yeah. And I think a lot of that number is based off of what they did last week. So I am going to suggest that you take a look at that, and as well as be careful with the Miami Bengals game. I feel like that's going to be weird. I know Tua's probably not going to play. We'll see what's up with his back. But I just don't fall for the trap that is that game. So a few extra little nuggets for you. Brian, let's hit your first play. And that is the USC Trojans minus 14.5 against the Sun Devils. And that's the first half line.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit one of these days. USC is it in terms of how good these teams are. USC is way up here, and Arizona State is the absolute dumpster fire of the Pac-12. Firing Herm Edwards, players are all upset. The team looked like garbage last week. They've been blown out each of their last 2 games. Whereas USC last week, they struggled a little bit in Corvallis, but prior to that, they were crushing opponents. And I don't think the talent on the field is anywhere close. Lincoln Riley has brought back kind of the glitz and glamour to the Trojans. And I think that's going to be on display early and often in this.
Yeah, I think the way to beat USC is to have a physical run game, have a really good offensive line, and have a secondary that can compete with what USC wants to do in the passing game. And Arizona State has none of those. So this should be a really ugly game. I think USC gets up big in the first half. I probably cruise and cover the second half number as well, but I think it's smart to take the first half and kind of lock that in. So I think that makes a ton of sense. The next play for me as we shift over to the NFL slate, I'm taking the Patriots plus 9.5 at Green Bay. I think Green Bay is significantly better. I think New England is not very good. But I don't know that the drop-off from Mac Jones to Brian Hoyer is really that noticeable. They're still going to do a lot of the same things they like to do. They want to run the ball. They want to play good defense. And I also like Green Bay in these kind of games. They're not trying to win by 40. They get their lead and they kind of just cruise. They have A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. Obviously came off that ugly game against Tampa. Now they come home. I think this is going to be a game that's never really in doubt, but the Packers win by 6 or 7 at the end of the day. You cover the number, and you cash that ticket. I think it's a lot of Ramondre, a lot of Damian Harris, and a lot of the Packers back. So quicker game, get in, get out. I think the Patriots defense is fine enough, and I think the Packers defense is really good. So just keep it close. Don't let them blow you out and cover. It was 10 at FanDuel, and I was really hoping to get that for the show purposes, but it's pretty much 9.5 everywhere. So I'm just going to use that for today.
Yeah,
Uh,
this is an interesting spot just because I wanted to hit on like when I first saw the news about Mac Jones, the first thing that popped into my head was the Monday night game against the Bills where they threw I think it was two total passes.
mhm,
And that's a game plan that I could see New England going into this contest with Brian
yeah.
Hoyer playing quarterback, where they lean on Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, shortening the game essentially. And their defense is good enough to, potentially limit what Green Bay is able to do on
Yeah.
offense. So yeah, I like the Patriots getting such a big number.
And the Packers are still trying to figure out their offense with,
Yeah.
Christian Watson's here and there. And obviously Romeo Dubs finally flashed this week. And of course, Sammy Watkins is already injured because that's what Sammy Watkins does. So I think it's one that makes sense. Let's head to your next pick, staying on the Sunday slate. And you're taking the Baltimore Ravens versus Buffalo Bills over 51.
Yeah, I don't really understand why this number has actually dropped. I think it opened at 54.5. I understand that Buffalo was only able to muster, 20 something points against Miami this last weekend, but they ran 90 plays. They outgained the Dolphins by almost 200 yards. And sorry, as we're doing this, Aaron Judge just hit home run number 61. That's fucking
Wow.
incredible.
And they said it
Hell
couldn't
yeah.
happen.
Cool. Live on show, live reaction. That is so freaking awesome. Sorry.
No, you're
Um,
good.
Yeah, no, going back to Ravens and Bills, like you can see Baltimore's offense starting to kind of come around. Like they're starting to get the wide receivers a little more in here. They're probably going to get James Prochet back this week. Buffalo is getting a little bit healthier on the defensive side. Jordan Poyer might be coming back. So I mean, you might see some defensive scores in this game with Lamar trying to squeeze some balls in the areas that he can't necessarily do it with. And then both of these quarterbacks can do it with their feet. And I think that's something that both of these defenses will struggle with this weekend. So 51, I think we should skate there, early on in the fourth quarter, and it should be no problem.
Yeah, and I think a lot of last week, a lot of this number is baked into what we saw last week, which it was really hot and muggy, and obviously not having Micah Hyde is big for the Bills, so I think that will
Yeah.
be a good thing for Lamar and company. I think this number is probably a little low. Ideally they push each other, they score a bunch of points, but I also like an angry Josh Allen in a 40-21 kind of game makes a lot of sense too. So
Yes.
I think this is a good play. I don't traditionally love going with big overs, but I think this could be a spot that makes sense.
I will say, like, I feel like the Ravens getting the points at home almost feels like a trap.
Mhm.
That Buffalo is still the better team. Buffalo probably should have won last week as well.
Yep.
And I feel like if you let this kind of get bet, you might be able to get a good number on the Bills at like -2, -2.5 if it keeps getting bet down.
Yep. Let's keep it going. Los Angeles Chargers -5 at the Houston Texans. Chargers are banged up. I know Justin Herbert's not in a good spot. I know there's some questions about what Brandon Staley may be as a coach or may not be. But they're still playing the Houston Texans. They're coming into this after a loss against Jacksonville. They're going to be pissed. This is a 41-3 rout all day. I think the Chargers smash Houston. I think this is a game in the second half where we're already cashing our tickets, and we're not worried about it. And then the Chargers remind us why they're so good. And obviously they are going to be missing some pieces, but I don't think at the end of the day it's going to be mad. It's going to matter. So I am taking the Chargers. I know it's on the road. I know it's -5. But to fill out my card, this was the spot where I wanted to go. I almost went head to head with Brian on his next pick. I almost went Kansas City, which might be played in Minnesota, which would be wild. I also like the Eagles a lot, I think, but I can't quite get there, so I'm not going to include them. Brian, your final play is the Denver Broncos money line at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders, the only 0-3 team in the NFL, one of two winless teams, winless teams. And they're going home for some home cooking against the atrocity that is the Broncos offense. And yet you're lining up saying, here's my money. Give me that Broncos money line. Talk to me about this one.
So I'm taking the same approach this week with the Raiders that I took last week in taking Tennessee on the money line while I was in Vegas. Derek Carr is absolutely terrible when he's got pressure in his face, and
Yeah.
Denver is going to be in his face all day in this matchup. I
Yeah.
think that the Broncos defense, their front seven, is going to basically control the line of scrimmage. They're going to limit what Carr is able to do in terms of scrambling. They're going to keep the running game at bay. Devontae Adams hasn't really established himself as the wide receiver one. Derek Carr's like secret weapon is his best friend, Hunter Renfrow, still is not practicing in the concussion protocol, which is a huge loss for this team. And, Denver, I feel like their offense is still trying to figure things out. Yes, Nathaniel Hackett is clearly not a great head coach over his first few games there in Denver, but with Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton, it's looking like Jerry Jeudy's getting a little bit healthier. I think this offense will start to figure some things out. Javonte Williams is still one of the best and most elusive running backs out of the backfield. Getting plus money with a team that coming into the year was like the 4th or 5th shortest odds to win the Super Bowl, I feel is like too good to be true almost, but I'm going to back it this week.
So that's the thing should you be worried that a team with the 4th or 5th odds coming into a Raiders team that has yet to win is the underdog, or should we be worried that Vegas is hiding a 2.5 with the Raiders and they're saying, come take this against this crappy Broncos team?
So that's kind of the way that I'm approaching it is everyone saw Monday Night Football.
Yep.
They think the Broncos suck and everyone's going to be smash betting the Raiders thinking they can't go 0-4, right? That's not possible when maybe they just suck.
They could go 1-3 and still be pretty terrible. I might just look at the under of 45.5 and just take the under and fade both Josh McDaniels and Nathaniel Hackett, who could be fired by the end of the season.
Yeah. The one thing on that though, that I think will be interesting is, I almost called them Oakland. The Raiders are pretty banged up in the defensive backfield. And I think this is a spot where the Broncos could potentially go up top and we finally see Russ cook. I mean, he's probably a pretty bad cook in real life, but
he's making
I think this is
some Taco Bell burritos and a Fanta.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I really like the Broncos this week.
No, yeah, I mean, I bet the Raiders. Like I said, I'm going to go head to head with you there, but for show purposes, I wish you the worst of luck. Let's recap our betting cards. Let's give the people the units for the plays, and let's get the hell out of here. So you have 3 plays on the card. You have USC minus 14.5 versus Arizona State in the first half. You have the Ravens and Bills over 51, and you have the Broncos money line. Give me your bets and your units for each of those.
So for the USC first half versus Arizona State, this is going to be my best bet for the show. I'm going to go 3-unit play on here. I think that USC is by far better than Arizona State, and it's not even close. Baltimore and Buffalo. I think this over should sneak over the number 51 pretty easily. Yeah. I'm going to go 2 units there, and then I'm going to go a little bit risky here with the Broncos and the Raiders and go another 2 units on the Broncos money line here. I just think that overall they're the better team, and I can't, even though they put up a poor performance this last Monday against San Francisco, who, mind you, everyone is still expecting to compete in the NFC West. So it's not like they played some schlub this last weekend.
Bet the Niners this week. Bet the Niners. They were the other team that didn't make my card.
But yeah, so the Broncos money line plus money. I'm going to go 2 units on that play as well.
Air Force Army under 37.5. 5 units. Woo! 5 units. 5 units. The Patriots plus 9.5 at Lambeau Field. 2 units.
Ooh.
And Chargers minus 5, which is probably going to be the one that bites me. 3 units. I'm going 10 units, Brian. I'm up. I'm looking good. I'm going to get feisty. I'm going to probably get murdered this week, but that's okay. Once again, Air Force Army under 37.5, 5 units. New England Patriots plus 9.5 at Green Bay, 2 units. Chargers at Houston Texans minus the 5, 3 units. Brian has USC minus 14.5 versus Arizona State in the first half, 3 units. He has the Ravens Bills over 51 for 2 units, and the Broncos money line at the Raiders for 2 units, plus 126. Thanks to our friends over at Caesars. That is Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert. Hit subscribe if you have yet to do so. Smash the like and let us know your best bet for NFL Week 4 or college football Week 5. We'll talk to you next time.